My name is M.A. Christopher, and I'm the author of a book called Poetry for Humanity. And it's available, it's an ebook. And it took me a little while to put it together because I wasn't sure about the different technologies that I have to use and the different file formats. So once I got to understand that, I was able to launch it. So it's only been out a week. I don't even think it's being distributed yet. It takes about a month before the stores start distributing it. But all of the poetry is about how God created everybody, if we stick together, we can defeat evil, because good and evil exist in the world. As it says in Proverbs 15, verse 3, God looks at everything. There is good and evil. So it's up to us, as children of God, to look out for each other, root out corruption and evil wherever we can, and defeat it, and just keep marching forward, doing God's work. So since it's Independence Day, I decided to do a little research on Independence Day, and I decided to write a poem, and the poem is called Independence Day, and it points out some historical facts, like July 4th is not actually the day that the Declaration of Independence was accepted as being a law for the United States of America by the Second Continental Congress. What happened was, it was actually enacted a law January 2nd, and it wasn't signed and ratified until January 4th. And the 13 American colonies that existed at that time, it was only 13 American states, they didn't even sign it until 5 years later. So I wanted to find out interesting points like that. And then I found out that one of the key reasons that the United States was even populated in the beginning by outside citizens of the world was from Europe, was because King George III at that time started prosecuting them severely, actually hanging them as a daily event. So they had to have religious freedom, so the Pilgrims decided they wanted to come over here and establish a free system, even though they were still up under the king. Then the time of the Revolutionary War, I found interesting facts about that. Like, if you notice that the picture of George Washington when he's crossing the Delaware, if you see right behind him, there is a black gentleman there. I forgot his name. He was the second in command of George Washington's army, of the Continental Army of the United States. He was from France, and George Washington recruited him. He was a general. So I was like, that's pretty interesting. Then I found something else pretty interesting. I don't know if you noticed at funerals, they fire 13 shots in the cannon. So I was like, well, I wonder where that came from. And I found that in 1777 in Rhode Island, that started as that started because George Washington and some other officials in his top command were in Rhode Island for some reason. When they got there, the citizens honored them by firing 13 guns and a cannon. And they started doing it every day. And I think they still do it right now. And I think it's part of the United States military tradition. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And it was black and white troops. Then I wanted to move a little forward, and I thought about slavery, because the revolutionary soldiers, a lot were black, white, they were all races. So I was like, I wanted to know about when they started lynching and the time after slavery existed, after the proclamation, Emancipation Proclamation. So I discovered that in 1875, the United States said that found it's a tremendous problem in the South, and they wanted to do something about it, because they said even though it's whites in the South that are committing these atrocities against the ex-slaves, there's good people too. There's good and bad and everything. So they enacted the 1875 Ku Klux Klan Act. And what that act did was, it gave the ability to ex-slaves to sue state officials for depriving them of constitutional rights, seizing property illegally, hanging them without due process of the law. And in 1964, that same act, the Ku Klux Klan Act, was brought to the attention of President Kennedy by Martin Luther King and other supporters, and they decided to take that act, modify it into the act we know of as the 1964 Civil Rights Act. Now, that same act is what empowers people today to sue police officials, because in the South, in the slavery days, it was the police who were committing the atrocities, and they were the members of the KKK and other state officials. So that act gave them the ability to sue state officials for abusing, using state power to deprive citizens of their constitutional rights. So that same act today is what allows women to sue state board of regions and colleges for discriminatory practices. That same act allows a white person to sue a state for violating their perceived constitutional rights. And that same act allows a member of the Ku Klux Klan to sue the state, because one did sue Alabama a few years ago under that act. Without that, it wouldn't have been possible. So I said, you know what? All of these things I would like to put into a poem. And so it's called Independence Day. The 4th of July, or is it a 2? The year is certain. Who was here before all of you? We hold these truths, the long lost said, for King George III put ropes on your head. The monarch of the lands you flee. What about the 13 gunshots fired for you and me? Twice a day the shots could be heard. What did you do when they lynched old Herb? Declared to the world that all are created equal and free by a power far greater than thee. In the streets, we see them fall. That type of authority is a threat against all. Don't believe? Look at World War II. Hitler's intent was to kill me and you. So don't pretend you don't see, for then it's too late when you try to enlist me. So stop the tyrant. Right now we all can. Claim the United States as the free lands. Yeah, thank you.
Outstanding. Thank you very much.
Thank you.